You're watching Money in Main Street. I'm Krista Laurie. Recently opened Boy Brewery in Port Jefferson Station is one of just a few farm breweries on the island, meaning it uses New York State farm products. We'll introduce you to the owner, whose beer and hard cider has won dozens of national awards, in today's Eye on the Island. A typical day's on tap for Bobby Rodriguez.
Since then.
But what's not typical is the double life he leads, brewing and serving craft beer and hard cider in Port Jefferson Station in the evenings. During the day, Rodriguez is a nurse practitioner at Stony Brook University Hospital.
In the day, I do the Bruce Wayne kind of thing, and at night I do the Batman kind of thing.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. It all started with a home brewing hobby that began in 2008 and landed him national recognition.
I entered probably about 4 competitions a year, and some of them were, like I said, at national levels. And in that span, I won almost 40 awards, and I won the most awards on Long Island for like a 3-year period. And at that point, I said, you know what, let me share my passion with the world, and I thought that I could open up a brewery. Little did I know how much went into opening a brewery, and it was, I hate to say, much easier to get my doctorates in nursing practice than it was to open a brewery.
But he made it happen. After a 3-year effort, Boy Brewery was born. A certified national beer judge, Rodriguez works nights and weekends to ensure his brewery is a hub of tasting activity.
When I do a tour, it's not just about looking at equipment. I will do a brief highlight history on the history of beer and cider, what goes into making it. I show people the equipment I use in this location, but then I sit everyone down here at the end and I teach them how to taste beer as a judge would.
But it wasn't an easy path. In 2015, he began brewing commercially at a brewery incubator in Farmingdale that's now closed. He then tried to open a brewery in Bohemia, but could not get approval for a tasting room.
The issue in that location was that the space was on cesspools, and for me to want to have a tasting room there, it was going to put some extra strain on that cesspool system, and the health department thought that it wouldn't be able to handle it.
Once situated in Port Jefferson Station, Rodriguez decided to set Boy apart by offering hard cider as well as beer. He says he's dealt with many different federal, state, and local officials while developing this business model.
This is a brewery that is also a cidery, and I am the only one on Long Island and one of the few in the country that actually can make beer and cider at the same location and be able to sell it to the public as well.
And while serving beer and hard cider appeals to a broader customer base, it had its regulatory obstacles. He needed 2 federal licenses to brew in the same space.
As far as the separation, the physical separation of making a brewery and a cidery work, there's certain federal laws that I have to follow. I actually have to alternate the space with myself. So what that basically means in black and white terms is when I make cider, I can only make cider. When I make beer, I can only make beer.
Much of the equipment here is on wheels, and to cut costs, Rodriguez got creative.
Anything that I could do at this location that I could make or do on my own, I did.
Including this?
Including this. This is a grain mill that we use to crack open the roasted barley so that we can expose the starches to convert into sugars to make beer. A product like this, if you were to purchase it pre-made, it would cost $5,000.
This handmade version only cost him $300. These tanks are also his creation, saving thousands on equipment and boosting the brewery's bottom line.
My wife and I were doing a brewery tour, and she found it online. And we were going to go to a bunch of different places, and this was our second stop. And we stopped here and fell in love with the place and spent hours here, and that was the end of our day. Music is great. Sam is amazing, a lot of fun to talk to, very attentive, very nice, and the beer is fantastic. You can't argue with good beer.
Brewing craft beer can end up being big business. In 2014, the Blue Point Brewing Company, founded in Patchogue in 1998, was purchased by Anheuser-Busch for a reported $24 million. But Rodriguez doesn't plan to sell Boy. He wants to keep brewing on a broader scale.
The hope is, 5 years from now, I will have a nice, workforce that is able to do some of these things for me. And then 10 years down the road, I hope to be able to distribute the products to other, states. And, my goal at the end also would be to have, a food restaurant portion attached to the business as well.
But whatever the future holds for this nurse practitioner turned businessman, he says his connection to his customers will always be fulfilling.
I've been blessed thus far, and I'm very humbled by the support that we've received, because people don't have to come here. People don't have to spend time and spend their money at this location, but they've chosen to, and that's it's very humbling.